All right, guys. Well, another week. Another week here with the podcast, and what a week it has been. Let me tell you what. This is I don't know what this episode's going to be. I don't know if it's going to be interesting, if it's going to be sad, if it's going to be something that nobody listens to. The latter is the most likely. But thanks for tuning in, guys. It's been a very oh boy, where to start? It's been a crazy week. Honestly, probably one of the worst weeks in my last decade. And boy, that's saying a lot. So, I'm doing okay. I've been struggling actually, but I'm doing all right. You probably noticed the new location here. New couch, new place. Move this weekend. I think what I'll do is I'll talk about and I'm gonna try to like keep it down a little bit. I feel like all my neighbors can hear what I'm saying, which is kind of awkward. But you know what? For a podcast that gets dozens of views, you gotta do what you gotta do. Um, but I'm probably gonna speak a little bit quieter. We'll see how it comes out in the editing. But um, I'll probably start out by talking about the move a little bit, and then I'll get into some more serious topics, some more I'm not doing well topics, which I'm on the up and up, I think. But it's a lot of similar stuff to the diet stuff, and it's the return of Keto Ben, you know, except this time accidental, and then also a lot of other stuff. So with that said, buckle up, guys. I'm not going to be too sad this episode. It'll be fine. You guys will find something interesting in this probably. I'll talk about the shows I did, but no. First things first. New place. I'm in a new one bedroom apartment in the Wash Park area of Denver. If you're not familiar with Denver, for the out of towners, Wash Park is a nice neighborhood. Obviously, Wash Park is kind of the central park in the area. It's probably the biggest park in the city. Maybe Central Park might be bigger, but Wash Park, it's like a 2.5 mile loop to run around. There's a ton of I think I talked about it last week. It's a nice area, but it's about 2 or 3 miles south of downtown. My place is a little northwest of Wash Park. So to get to Wash Park, it's about a mile. So if I want to run, I have to run through kind of the residential areas for about a mile, and then I get to Wash Park. But I also have easy access to another running trail, which is nice, and um, I'm about half a mile from Broadway, which is a main strip in Denver. So very nice location. It's a location I literally lived one block that direction 2 years ago for a year and a half. That was a great apartment. Loved the location. Wanted to come back, be in a more centralized area. So I'm excited for that. The move, as moves do, took a full 3 days. I took Friday off work, and it's a one bedroom. I guess I have more stuff than I would like to, more stuff than I thought, which I'm more of a minimalist type mindset. But over the last couple of years, I've definitely collected quite a few things, and also per usual, didn't hire any movers. Had a couple friends help me out, which was thank goodness. Otherwise, it would have been a nightmare. But I took Friday off and started the move. And let me tell you what. Well, let me back up. I'm all over the place here. But I'll tell you guys, if you're curious about Denver rent, whether you're in Denver or not in Denver, this little puppy, one bedroom apartment cost $1,117 plus utilities that they lump in there. That was another 88, I think. So basically 1205, 1200 bucks a month is pretty much the rent, and then I have to pay electricity separate and internet separate. So let's just call it 1300 all said and done. But about 1200 for like the main stuff, which, to be honest, for a 1 bedroom, it's 600 square feet, in a pretty good location, about as good as you're going to find. Um, I mean, you can find some cheaper options that are going to be much smaller, much seedier areas, but rent's expensive. If you want to live in like a nice, newer luxury apartment with all the amenities, there's no amenities here. It's kind of like a standalone building that has 3 floors, 4 units on each floor. It's just a small little thing. I'm surrounded by residential houses, things like that. But I think, I mean, I was pleasantly surprised by the rent, but I think the rent was so low because I'm on the ground level and not much sunlight. I will be honest. Not a lot of sunlight, which that'll be okay. I'm kind of going through a little low point right now, which the light would be appreciated, but I bought a couple lights and we'll be okay. We'll be all right. But yeah, started the move on Friday, took the day off, um, moved moved a bunch of stuff, and look, fortunately, I had some friends who were able to help me out. Thank goodness. Um, but the main reason that I asked for help was because obviously it helps it go quicker, but my rotator cuff, which I've talked about, I'm sure in the past 2 or 3 episodes, um, I didn't want to lift a bunch of heavy stuff to aggravate it. So I was basically just going left hand. I was like left arm, left shoulder. That's all I've got. We'll see what happens. Um, and then I picked up the keys Friday morning. I brought a bunch of stuff over here on my own, and then I had my buddy. He was meeting me at my old apartment to basically start the move. So I brought a couple things over here initially by myself before getting some help. And literally in that first round of things, the very first round of things, I grabbed a lawn chair, which is like a heavier duty lawn chair. It wasn't a $5 one, it's like a $50 one. So it's got a little weight. It's not it's you know, not super heavy, but got a little bit more weight than most of them. I picked up the top side of it. I pulled it out of my car, and the bottom half, the weight of it just made it swing, and it knocked right into the side of my knee. And just a little, one of those little like, oh, that hit the funny bone of my knee. And not just in the sense of, oh, it tingled, in the sense of like, oh, did I just destroy a ligament that's important in one of the most, if not the most important joints in your body? And so then the rest of the move, I was down a shoulder, and then I was limping with my right knee and paranoid that I had messed everything up. So I'm falling apart. I went grocery shopping yesterday. I was trying to move the cart over, and my pinky got stuck like in the side, and I thought I tore a pinky ligament. I mean, I'm crumbling as we speak, guys. It's been pretty rough. But yeah, so Friday moved all day, and then Saturday, same deal, pretty much moved all day. Had another buddy, friend of the pod, Ethan Everhart. Thank you, buddy. Came over, helped me move, and then I pretty much had most everything on Friday and Saturday, then except for my mattress. My old roommate, said that he has an SUV. He said we'd be able to cram the mattress in there. So Sunday was the day to get that, and then basically I was just cleaning for a couple hours my old place to make sure I wasn't leaving a dirty apartment. But yeah, in the new place, liking it so far. There's an adjustment period of like just getting used to the new place, new routine. I'm working from home, which I ordered an adjustable desk to come in, and it's going to be like a couple more weeks before it gets here. But I'm looking forward to that because I'll be able to stand and work. I'll be able to, it'll just be a much bigger space. So I'm working on a little tiny desk right now, and I've got 3 monitors and, notebooks to take notes and all this stuff. So it's just kind of limited space. It's a little cramped, but we'll make do. Looking forward to the new desk coming in. Also, you probably noticed, got a new couch. It's pretty big, purchase in my life. Haven't really bought any new couches ever, other than my studio that used to be right around the corner. I bought a futon for like $110 off Amazon. That was the most uncomfortable thing in the world. and didn't even move that, just threw that out. I'll probably do the same with it. This was $280 on Amazon. Shipped it. Super simple setup. And you know what? I didn't want to spend six, seven, $800, however much a nicer couch cost, because I signed an 18-month lease here. And at the end of the 18-month lease, has it already been 10 minutes? What is happening? What have I even talked about? At the end of the 10-month lease, um, or at the end of the 18-month lease, uh, I just don't want to have to lug it. I don't know. Will I be in Denver? Who knows? I might go back toward the East Coast. I'm not sure what's going on, but I didn't want to buy a big thing and then have to lug it around or have to try to sell it or whatever. So, yeah, I think $280 for 18 months. I'm fine with that. It's comfortable enough. Got a nice little corner light, which I don't know. It's I don't know if you guys have seen it. I was looking for a different style living room light because all the ones that I have are just like the regular $15 Walmart ones that have like just a pole that goes up and then the two, like the light bulb that stands straight up and then the light bulb off the side. And I wanted a different option. So I bought, I don't know, it's called like the Groove 2. I don't know what it's basically just like a little bottom piece and then just a straight up stick. And then like there's LED lighting that goes up. And you basically point it to a corner of a room and it kind of lights up the corner, which it was $100. And that that's a lot of money. Too much money. I don't know. Wouldn't recommend. Two stars. Anyways, yeah, have bought a couple things that'll be coming in to kind of complete the apartment setup, but looking forward to getting in the routine. It it was a bit of a crazy. It's been a wild week, guys. Been all over the place. Not to get I'll get into the nitty gritty for some of the stuff, but not all the stuff. Again, hopefully this is interesting. This is just going to be me kind of like really going through like some mental roller coaster stuff and just trying to figure out life. But I don't know if I mentioned on the last podcast. I don't think I did. But recently going through a breakup, which has been tough. It won't go, not trying to go into the details. There's a lot of love and respect and, still care for my ex-girlfriend, but, yeah, just didn't work out. And, so going through the typical emotions with that, but in that, like I said before, the return of accidental keto Ben, going through the breakup, not being super hungry, have a move to a new place coming up. And so I'm kind of just trying to go through like what's in my freezer and not buy a ton of new food. And so basically not having much of an appetite and then just eating like very limited stuff. I went through a period of time for like a week or two where I was not eating carbs hardly, and I was not barely eating any calories. I was probably eating like 1,000 or less calories a day. And not only that, I wasn't eating like healthy fats. And to give you an idea, like I was having like ground chicken and frozen vegetables, and I'd mix that together. So like chicken is like a lean meat, and then just some veggies, and so over the last week, literally my mental state just little by little deteriorated, and I didn't connect the dots about not feeling well or something being off until Saturday. Saturday was like a just strange day. I was moving throughout the day, like I said, and it's tough when you're not in like don't have a ton of energy and you're not in the best mental state. Anytime you have to just do a bunch of tasks, you're like all day I got to move, and like you don't have a choice. You can't go, I'll do it later. It's like I have to do it right now. So that's, obnoxious. You just gotta do it. It was fine. But I realized, like, I didn't realize, I just kind of middle of the day, maybe like around noon or 1 o'clock on Saturday, I was like, my mental state just fully deteriorated into a scary state where it's like, it was like levels of depression that I haven't felt since Lyme disease, like 14 years ago, where you're like, something is wrong. Like, and it's weird because, if anybody's experienced it before, it really is like the cloud over your head. It's just like, you can't think, you can't, I mean, it's just such a dreadful fit. And I was like, what is happening? This is insane. And then I didn't have the thought in my head about what might be going on until that moment, until it was like, this is bad. That I was like, oh, I haven't had carbs in a while. And it reminded me of earlier this year. If you guys have, listened to all of the episodes or kind of tuned in here and there, back in February, I was trying keto and I couldn't figure it out. I was trying it for a long time, for like a full month, and I was in a pretty depressive state. I couldn't figure it out. My body just wasn't reacting well to it. Whatever was going on, I don't know what it was, but ultimately I stopped because I was like, I'm not doing well. And it wasn't until like Saturday, when I was feeling that like very depressed, I was like, oh no, I haven't had carbs. And so I forced myself, I did an emergency drive um to Whole Foods to buy some oatmeal. And also to like, it wasn't just depressed, but I was like, I feel like I'm going to pass out. Like just felt diminished of so many things. Um and so it was a very odd feeling. So I went to Whole Foods, got some oatmeal, and ate some oatmeal. And I ate the oatmeal maybe like 3 or 4 o'clock. And here's the scary thing. And I'll kind of go through the I'll probably separate it and go through the different things here in a separate way. But I was very, very like, what's the word? Scared, or just like not looking forward to a show I had to host on Saturday. And I was like, I'm feeling terrible. And I need to figure out what's going on and try to make myself feel better. And so I had the oatmeal, and that didn't fully help. But basically, to give you the long story short, or the long story a little shorter than it's already been, I wasn't eating carbs. It wasn't just carbs though. You need carbs. Carbs are important, but I wasn't having healthy fats. I wasn't having enough calories. Just all of the things. I stopped having all of the things. And also Saturday, I stopped drinking coffee. I wanted to like get off of the coffee routine. So I wasn't having coffee either. I had a huge migraine. So if you put all those together, coming off caffeine when you've been pretty heavily dependent on it for the last 6 months, no healthy fats, no fats at all, no carbs, eating probably, 800 calories a day. That's just a recipe for not putting yourself in a good mental state. So I, over the last couple of days, I have done some more grocery shopping to get all the things I need to have, and I'm feeling a little better. Still not great, but I can tell I'm taking the steps to get back to what should be normal here, hopefully in the next few days. But it is scary, man. It's scary how quickly you can go from like, I'm fine, to just like, oh, I just forgot to eat some. I don't. I mean, I'm probably more affected. I don't know. Maybe I'm more affected, more sensitive to than your average person. I don't feel like I've heard many people talk about like, yeah, I just forgot to eat carbs for a little bit, and this and that, and then I was like the most depressed I've ever been. I feel like that's probably not the norm, but either way, I cooked some ground beef last night, some fatty ground beef and some vegetables, and this morning I had that with rice as well, or just a little bit earlier for lunch. So and that gave me a boost. And all yeah, all things considered, I'm just trying to take it day by day. It's been a lot. It's been a lot to try to balance, but we're getting there. We're gonna be okay, guys. We're gonna we're gonna get back to good health. We're gonna get back to funny, silly Ben doing comedy. The comedy's been uh, it's been tough. It's tough doing comedy when you're not in good spirits. It's obviously even tougher when you're like, I'm not only am I not in good spirits, I'm not okay. So that was kind of the case. I'll go through kind of the shows that I did, and hopefully I don't know how long of a pod I'm going to be able to do. I don't know how much stuff I have to talk about. I'm trying to think of funny things, but um, I don't have that many funny things. If I'm being honest, guys, this is yeah. I will say one thing that it annoyed me before I get into the shows. I moved in, and I talked about this last episode about the headache of Xfinity, the internet provider here. But I moved in, and I spent hours talking to them trying to just get it set up and appropriately for the new place and get it dealt with at the old place as well. And so I have my own modem and router. So it's like, no, I don't want to pay you an extra $50 a month for your equipment. I have that. We're fine. I don't need that. So I get in, okay, and they had given me like the account number and the number to call once I moved in. They're like, just call this. We'll literally just like get you set up right away. It won't take long. You'll be good. So I do that. I call them. Fast forward 2 hours. I've been off and on the line with them for, you know, forever. And I finally someone's like, well, there's nothing we can do on your end. It looks like it's working, but if it's not working, it looks like it's working on our end, but if it's not working on your end, you need to call the manufacturer of your um, router modem, which is Netgear. And so I was like, "Oh, all right." So I give them a call, and they're like, basically, they just go, yeah, the warranty for your modem router expired 4 years ago. I bought it like 4 years ago. And I guess there's a warranty or tech service period where you're able to talk to their tech service for 3 months. And that's it, 3 months. They're like, if you want to go through the tech support and have us troubleshoot what's going on, it's going to be $50. Or they have like a 3 month period. They're like, a 3 month period is $50, or you can do a year and it's $150. I'm like, I just want today. I just want you to fix it today. Do you have a 1 day warranty? Can I pay $1 for 1 day? But of course, you can't do that. So, and I work from home, so I was like, sure, $50, whatever you got to do. I can't spend any more time on hold with robotic voices. Anyway, I just make it work. And then I'm not even kidding. Like 5 minutes later, we've gone through the process and it's fixed. And literally, it was just her being like, "Do you have a safety pin? Poke that safety pin into the reset button." And then she gave me like, uh, she was like, "Go to this IP address and sign it." Like, there was a couple other small steps, but I was like, "Oh, 100%." I could have Googled and like found that, but I was just so far beyond wanting to deal with that I was just like, $50. Just put it on my card. I don't care. Just make it work. So fortunately, got that to work. But man, it's just that's life, isn't it? Just every step of the way, you're like, why can this not be easier? Why does this have to not work? But that was frustrating. But I did a few shows last week, and like I was saying, it's they were tough. So I did a show on Thursday and a show on Saturday. Didn't have a show Friday, which actually was great because I was moving on Friday and just it would have been chaotic. Um, but I did a show on Thursday in Boulder with Next Stop Comedy, which is I've done one other show with them. They're basically they started in Boston and they were called the Boston Comedy Club, but they did a bunch of random shows throughout Boston and then branched into the Northeast. And then now they've branched out to obviously Colorado. So because they went to different cities and states, they rebranded from Boston Comedy Club to Next Stop Comedy. And they run very fun shows. They pay very well. All the ones I've done are very fun. And it was at a brewery, Avery Brewing, in Boulder, Colorado. And boy, it was basically Gun Barrel, which is like you have to drive to Boulder and then north another like 15 minutes. And going through rush hour traffic, I left like 2.5 hours before the show. Now, did I get to the venue an hour and 10 minutes before the show? Yes, I did. But that's what can you do? When the GPS, you go, what is the time, estimated time from here to here? And they go an hour and 15 minutes to 2 hour 45 minutes. And you're like, okay, what? Okay. So I kind of just based it off worst case scenario. And then it wasn't good traffic, but it wasn't like the worst traffic ever. So, I mean, taking an hour and 15 minutes to get there is still a long time, but just wanted to play it safe. So I got there with plenty of time, and I was hosting the show. Was asked to host the show, which is fine. I'm hosting obviously a ton, as I've talked about, so was happy to do that. And the way they do it a little bit differently. The Next Stop Comedy versus most shows in Denver, which most shows in Denver are a showcase style. Which, if you're not familiar, that's basically just like more comics on the lineup doing less time. So, for example, maybe you have 7 people doing 10 to 12 minutes for a showcase style. Or, maybe it's 5 people doing 15 minutes, whatever it is. The Next Stop Comedy, the way they do it is a more traditional comedy setup, which is a host, a feature, and a headliner. So I did about 15 minutes. The feature did, I think, like 20 to 25, and then the headliner did like 40. And it was a fun show. It was a tight crowd. I will be honest. It was in this like separate room in the brewery where they had a bar in the back, but the seating, it was like 25 people, which was completely full. So it was kind of a tight room, but that can be good for comedy. But they cut the lights down, and there was a spotlight in your face, but also the lights weren't fully down. So you could see, like, the people in the crowd could tell that you could see them specifically, and vice versa. So sometimes that makes people feel uncomfortable. But I'll also say Boulder is kind of notorious for like tighter crowds. Boulder, if you're not familiar, it's like a pretty wealthy, affluent city. And yeah, a lot of shows I've done there, a lot of like polite smiles and like hiding the giggles versus just letting it out. I felt really good about my host set. I felt like I did what I could do. I had fun with it. I was being silly and loose with it, and did the best that I could. And that's all you can hope for. But it was fun hanging. The comics that were on the show were people that I enjoy being around. Fun hangs. Had a good time chatting with them and catching up. And then the show I did on Saturday. Oh boy, let's go through the show on Saturday. So, show I hosted on Saturday was at Emporium Brewing. It was a rotating tap show, which is just a production company here in Denver that I host some shows for. And it's a bi-monthly show, a show every 2 months. And I've hosted maybe 3 at this point. It's very fun. I was looking forward to it, leading up to it. I always look forward to it. But my mood, so let's go back to Thursday, the show that I did for Next Stop Comedy that I just talked about. My mental was still hanging in there, but I was kind of back and forth, sad Ben, normal Ben. It's kind of like teetering, where you're like, yeah, I'm not feeling great, but like, yeah, I'm okay. I'm just like starting to feel a little sad and this and that, blah blah blah. And then Friday, felt, a little not great, this and that. And then Saturday it hit. So basically, like day by day, I could feel my body deteriorating. I didn't recognize, or like it didn't click for me until Saturday afternoon when I said I was like in dreadful. I just like it's kind of hard to describe, to be honest. I remember trying to describe these types of feelings during my Lyme disease days because it's such a deep sadness that I don't think most people I don't think a lot of people have experienced it because it's not like, oh, I'm going through a breakup sadness. Like that's if you're feeling normal, if your body chemistry is normal and you go through a traumatic thing or whatever like that, yes, you feel normal sadness. And it can be very tough and that it can be very sad. But it's like a yeah, when your brain chemistry and serotonin levels and whatever, the nutrition stuff, it's like literally probably your body is like going into like, hey, we're going to die mode. Like you're not giving us the nutrition and nutrients that we need to survive. And I mean, it's scary where you're like, it's scary, dude. I was leaning on some buddies pretty hard. I was one friend of the pod, Ethan Everhart. Love you, buddy. You helped me you helped me through this weekend. I was hitting him up quite a bit, like, hey man, can you come hang out at the show? Can you help me move? Can you come like hug me on the couch while I just like talk about my problems? Um, but no, I appreciate that very much. That's something that during my Lyme disease days, and honestly, during a lot of my adult life, I've had I've had plenty of friends. I've so moving when you move out of your hometown and you don't have like your best friends around. So a lot of times you have best friends from growing up, you have best friends from college, but then if you like go off on your own, then you just have like coworkers or people that acquaintances from like things you do like running club or when I first moved to Denver, I went to like Spanish speaking get-togethers. And it's like, yeah, so I have like a bunch of quote unquote friends, but I'm not texting these people to be like, I need you to come over to my place because I'm really sad right now. So it's nice to have, I guess all that said, it's nice to have some close buddy with comedy, becoming close with people. It's nice to be in a position to have those close friends and be able to lean on them in times of need. So thank you guys. You guys know who you are. Thank you for being there. But I yeah, Saturday hit it was hosting the show at Emporium. And things started deteriorating very, very badly to where I was like, I have to go to Whole Foods now. I mean, just the thought of driving 1 mile to Whole Foods and being in public and buying something was like daunting. But also the flip side of that is like, well, your brain and body needs these nutrients. So if you don't get them, it'll probably get worse. And I mean, it was already what felt like as bad as it could get. So I went to Whole Foods, didn't look anybody in the eyes out of fear that I would start crying in public. You guys get it. You guys ever cried in public? That's always a fun game to play. Um, buy some oatmeal, come back, uh, make the oatmeal. I'm playing some video games as well, chatting with a couple buddies, trying to distract myself. Eat the oatmeal. I'm like, I'm going to feel better like in 10 minutes. I bet this is it. I'm going to be like back to normal bed in like 10 minutes. And of course, that wasn't the case. I felt like maybe a little bit better, but still pretty terrible. And, which by the way, I should have known this. I don't know why. I was thinking that this oatmeal would be like insulin to my diabetes. Kind of like if I had diabetes and insulin, you're like, oh, um, but for some reason I thought, oh, this oatmeal is gonna just make me whole again. It helped a little bit, but all the research and stuff I've done matches up with everything that I've learned in the past. I don't know um, why I was unaware of this or had forgotten this, but it's like it's gonna take a couple days to a week to like eat a proper diet and get back to the swing of things. So right now I'm on like day 2. It's Tuesday. Yesterday and today I'm like day and a half, day 2 of like really getting back in a normal diet and starting to improve. And here in the next couple of days should be better. So fingers crossed. But Saturday, yeah, about 3 or 4 p.m., I'm like, the thought of hosting a show tonight is like insane. I mean, yeah, I don't know that I have to explain it anymore to like break it down. I think you guys probably get it, but yeah, hosting involves you're like setting up the show, you're starting the show, you're like, "Hey everybody," you're like establishing you are the host of the event. And when you're in your worst mental moment of, maybe tied for the worst in your life, you're like, this is going to be the hardest thing I've had to do in a long time. Like, this is going to be genuinely, I was driving to the show and I was like, this is going to be the hardest show I've ever had to do, like, by far, hands down. Like, forget about bombing and not doing well and being like, oh, that, or like people heckling. You're like, that was hard. That was right. You're like, no, dude, I don't know what's going to happen on stage. Like, I might break down and like just crumble into the fetal position as the first comedian. The show might start out like, hey guys, this is a comedy show. And then I just make it a not comedy show. I just make it the saddest event ever. So I'm driving there and I'm like, this is going to be terrible. And right before, like a couple blocks away from the venue, I pass a Natural Grocers. And in my head, I was like, last ditch effort. I'm gonna walk to the Natural Grocers real quick, buy some honey, and just eat some plain honey. Hopefully that'll do something. And that's what I did. I went and bought some honey. I poured a mouthful of honey in my mouth, and within the time of doing that to walking to the venue, I mean, within a span of 5 or 10 minutes, I felt so much better. And I felt really good during the show. And that's when it really triggered in my head, like, oh, you are malnutritioned right now. Your body needs, obviously, nutrients, certain minerals and vitamins, and you haven't been giving them that. So your blood sugar is probably all out of whack. So the honey helped to give a temporary boost. It went back down, after that, but it gave me the boost I needed to get through the show. And the show was very fun. It was good, and it was important to, like, I was struggling. And so I had the honey, had a good host set. Had a couple buddies. Ethan came, did a guest spot, hung out at the show. I begged him. I said, please, for the love of God, I need you. Yeah, show was very fun. The good buddy Jeff Nelson, he headlined. He did very well. The other comics did very well. It was a very fun show, and yucked it up with some of the comics. And I'm trying to think if anything eventful happened. I wish I had some segments of like new jokes I'm working on or this or that. If I'm being honest with you guys, the thought of doing anything over the last 72 hours, which is crazy because it feels like it's like, dude, I've been living a nightmare for the last month, but it's like it's truly been like the last 4 days that have been like really tough. So I literally just was like maintaining, then kind of slowly falling, and then just bottomed out. And then when you're bottomed out, that's a scary place to be. So it feels like, thinking of things by like day by day, you're like, dude, it's minute by minute. But I was writing up until maybe a week or two ago, but need to just focus on my health at the moment, get back into the healthy routine on all ends, and get back into the writing. Looking forward to, I got some fun shows coming up, and looking forward to getting the focus back to comedy and working through jokes, having that fire and creative outlet and interest and desire, whatever the vocabulary words are, fill in the blank. But I've got a couple. Yeah, so that was Saturday. Sunday, I went and did an open mic on Sunday, and it was okay. I was kind of struggling through Sunday. It was weird because I literally, I don't, we all have this in our life, but you just feel foolish when you realize what's going on, and it took you so long to realize. Because so much of my life I've talked about the diet and the restrictions and how I am in sync with my body. So I feel really stupid the fact that I went so long. It was like, oh, I'm feeling not good. Oh, I haven't had carbs for a long time. And so I started with that. And then I was like, oh, I had the honey. Felt better with that. I was like, okay, carbs and natural sugars. Okay, those kind of similar things, I think, as far as carbs, like converting into sugars. And then I was like, oh, I haven't, it wasn't until Sunday night, so a day after the Saturday debacle, that I was like, oh, I haven't had healthy fats either. And it didn't register for me until Sunday because I was like walking around so airheaded, like just the brain fog like crazy. I'm like, oh, healthy fats. So make it like you need those for your brain to function properly. So just like, it's just one of those things where you feel stupid for not recognizing things earlier, but they have been recognized now at this point. I am doing everything I can. A big old bill that I had yesterday after checking out at Whole Foods with all the healthy stuff. So really trying to get the healthy fats in, the carbs, all this stuff to feel as good as possible. So next week, I'm really hoping that next podcast you guys won't have to deal with me whining for 45 minutes. I hope it can be a fun, silly episode. So we'll see. Yeah, I've got a couple of fun shows coming up this weekend. I'm doing Don't Tell on. Oh, I've actually got quite a bit of stuff. So today's Tuesday. Tomorrow's Wednesday. I'm doing the Comedy Fort. There's a competition. So it'll be fun doing a competition when you're kind of like mentally unstable. No, it's fine. It's fine. I'll go do that. That should be fun. Will I advance? We'll see. Hopefully. I've talked about it before. Historically, not very good at competitions, but no excuses. There's no excuses anymore. You just got to be funny, and we'll see. I'll just go out there, do my best, and see what happens. Thursday, I'm doing a set at a local show at Copper and Kettle, I think it is. And Friday and Saturday, I'm hosting Don't Tell shows. So that should be fun. I got some buddies on the shows Friday and Saturday. Looking forward to that. And then next week, I don't know what I have. Halloween's coming up at some point, kind of soon. My main focus right now is just getting back into full health and good spirits, and not providing you guys with mental health alert podcasts where the whole thing is Ben is struggling, but he's gonna be okay. So I'm kind of stalling a little bit because I'm about 15 seconds away from 45 minutes, and that's what I've promised my loyal listeners, a full 45. So I think we're about there. So I'm going to go ahead and end the episode here, right on the dot. Thank you guys for listening. If you made it this far, God bless your heart. I mean, boy, what a episode this was. I really struggled to sit down and even do this. So if you listened at all, thank you. Appreciate it. I promise you I'll be all right, and I will bring you guys some more unique, interesting stuff. I think I'm going to have a new setup. I've got a desk, and I've got a new mic. I think I'm going to do a new setup, a little more official. So stay tuned. That should be coming here pretty soon. Looking forward to that. But either way, thanks for tuning in, and appreciate you guys. I'll see you guys again next week.